I go on the barn doors and I'm seeing like waiters and stuff like crying and hiding in the corner. I see the knives. I grab the knives. I wolverine it.
Unbelievable.
In between my knuckles.
Yep.
And I'm just standing there like Mama Bear breathing like,
Somebody gonna cue me or do I cue myself?
Cue yourself.
Okay. Hey everybody, we're back with another episode of Let's Talk Off Camera, so let's get talking. Jan Albert, put your big boy pants on because we are going to be graced by an Academy Award winner today.
Wow.
Can you say that very often around here?
No.
No, we cannot.
No.
Academy Award winner Da'Vine Joy Randolph. Last year, we all watched her win every award possible for her amazing performance in The Holdovers. She was the best part of that movie. And I love that movie, but she was like in a series of standout performances. She slayed it, and she so convincingly convinced me that she was going to win that Academy Award that I was perfectly fine with my selection on the office pool. But did you know, by the way, did you know this? She's no overnight success. Over a decade ago, she earned a Tony nomination for her role in Ghost, the musical. Since then, she's racked up several more memorable on-screen parts in everything from This Is Us, High Fidelity, Empire, Dolomite Is My Name, The United States versus Billie Holiday. Yes, oh my gosh.
Yes.
Yep. Rustin and her Emmy-nominated performance in Only Murders in the Building.
Yeah.
You mean, and do you think she'll be nominated for an Emmy, for a daytime Emmy, for her performance in Only Live in the Building?
She was in our Halloween show this year.
It was pretty amazing when she showed up.
She is very Da'Vine. I love the play on the name, Jan.
Good.
But while we wait for her to join, Jan Albert Jan, what's going on?
What's going on with you, Jan?
Well, wait a second. I didn't hear about this today at work, but were you with my boyfriend last night? Were you with Bob?
Oh, yeah.
Were you with Bob
I spent
Iger?
a lot of quality time with Bob Iger.
Tell me about it so I can live
Yes.
vicariously through you.
Well,
'cause I did not hear about this today.
His real life wife was there, Jan. Willow Bay, his real life
Who?
wife. Willow Bay.
Who?
His real life wife was there, who is a version of Jan. I
Did
will
the
say.
podcast come up?
We didn't talk about the podcast. We talked about Mark's Stuart Weitzman ad.
Oh, well, hello.
His son graduated Columbia Business School and just bought an apartment. I thought he said he bought an apartment in the building because we had this board members dinner in the new Disney building, the Robert Iger building. It's named after Bob Iger. Yes,
Wow,
the
okay.
Robert Iger building.
Wow.
And it's this giant, it's really very glamorous.
Wow.
The building is very state of the art. It's gorgeous. It's high tech. It's glistening. So as we come down this gleaming staircase, and the Walt Disney embossment is on the wall, and they've got beautiful holiday lights up everywhere. There's a Christmas tree. There's a menorah. It's all very lovely. We come down the stairs, and Bob starts talking to Mark about the Stuart Weitzman ad and his diet and exercise routine and the whole thing. And then we asked about the kids. His youngest is also a senior in college, as is Joaquin, talking about what their future plans are. And his son just got a big job with a big agency, and he's the one that graduated business school. Anyway, and he said, in what I heard, because it was loud and it's cavernous, what he said was he just got an apartment in the building. And I said, "You're selling apartments in this building?" Because I was like, perfect for us. That's a great commute. That's a commute I can get behind.
That's hilarious.
So yes, I saw your boyfriend.
Did he look presidential to you?
He looked presidential.
I'm still voting for him.
Yeah, he looked very presidential. He looked, he's Bob Iger. There's nothing like if they were to make the movie Disney the movie, Bob Iger would play Bob Iger.
Of course.
Because who else are you going to get?
My favorite thing about the you and Bob Iger is Glenn's is Liz Cho, right?
Yes.
When you told that story.
Well, Liz Cho.
Glenn's hall
is-
pass is Liz Cho.
Everybody's hall pass is Liz Cho.
I had a funny Kyle moment that the two of you, I was waiting to tell you this story.
Okay.
We were sitting at home and he's sitting on the couch. There's not a conversation being had. It is not a television on, not a speaker playing music. And I thought, I'm going to update him that we bought a gift for blah, 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 something that he had told me to do. So I wait and and he's on his phone, he's looking, I tell the entire story and dead silence. Mm-hmm. And I look at him and I said, did you hear what I just said? And he said, no. What you have to do is you have to say, I'm about to say something.
You have to announce that you're
All
gonna
you
say
did was just say it. Wait.
So you have to preamble
Yes.
to your
Yes. For now on, anytime so the entire weekend when I was with him, I was like, Kyle, I'm about to say something. And he would put down his phone and he would say, that's so perfect. Thank you for doing that.
This is what it's come to. We have to announce that
We have
we're
to
about to
announce.
have a conversation
Right.
now.
You didn't
because-
say you were about to say something, you just said it.
Okay, she's ready.
Hello? I think I
Hello?
lost her. Da'Vine.
Hi, Kelly.
Hi.
I am so sorry. My agency called me, and I don't know why, because they know I'm in this
Wait,
interview.
is that good though? Wait.
No,
Wait
Kelly.
a second. Is it a job? Is it a
It is,
job?
but it's like in negotiation phase. So that's like the
Well,
annoying
get all
part.
the money. Get all the money.
Yes, but I'm
can you tell
sorry.
us
They
about it?
know
Yes.
I'm on this call, and I guess when you get a phone call, when you're on the phone, this app just cancels itself. So
I understand.
Deep apologies.
Listen, no worries. Now, is it from the Marvel universe?
It's not. It's not. It's
Is it a
not.
comedy?
Kind of?
Okay.
Kind of.
Is it for a major studio or streaming service?
They have not told us that part yet in negotiations. It's an independent. So sometimes with independents, they're like,
Yep.
let's shoot it first and see where it lands. But it
Yep.
has a lot of really great people in it.
I understand that, but I want to make sure that the premier great person, you, Academy Award winner,
you.
and I don't want to hear them hide behind it's an independent film
for
and
sure
it's
they are.
favored
That's
nations and
exactly-
everybody's. I
Yep.
know, but
So did you read my contract? Because that's exactly what it is.
No, but can I be your agent? Because
Please.
I will.
Please.
I will explain to everyone the net value of you. I
Thank you.
often think that I missed my calling as
be
an
a great
agent
agent. A
because I
great
am like a
agent.
dog with a bone,
Ooh, I
and
love
I'm like.
that.
I'm like, yes, I'm glad that Ben Affleck has decided to favored nations this after he made his $12 trillion.
Well, if they call back in, you can conference in and negotiate.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. Conference me in, and I'll talk
Yeah.
to them about what that all
Kelly
means.
has something to say. And
Yes.
thank you.
I'm remembering back. But it wasn't so long ago that you won that Academy Award, and we were backstage watching this all unfold, and it was singularly very exciting for us because
Thank you.
you know early on in the award season when you call something and you feel like really special about it and you feel like, oh my gosh, we called it
that
way
means a
back
lot.
then. So as you were up there on stage,
Yeah.
did you look at anybody in the eye and think, oh, I'm going to work with you next, or I want to make a film with you next? Was there a moment or
No.
a person that you locked onto?
No. Mm-mm. Actually, I was like, wow, this theater is way smaller than I thought. That's the
Really?
thing. Yeah, it's way smaller. On TV, you think
Uh-huh.
that, what is it, Kodak Theater is huge. And then you're up there and you're like, this is it. This is as big as it is. But in a
I
good
think
way,
it's enormous.
felt-
I think it's so big. I think it seems scary.
No, see, it felt more warm to me. I don't know why. It didn't feel, I mean, like, because, the seats on the side hug you in nicely. It didn't feel like, I don't know, I guess it's the angles that they shoot it. It
Yeah.
felt massive. But it just, honestly, I felt like I was more so talking to the people watching than the people in the room. That's what it felt like. And I just felt more so of like extreme gratitude. And like I said, I really did feel like this is just the beginning, and it was really exciting. I was more so excited of like, okay, I know this is going to sound crazy, but like, okay, check, that's off the list. Now let's get to work. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes total sense.
That I felt like, okay, great. Hopefully this will now open up more doors. And now I get to really do the stuff that you know what I mean, that I want to do. And like, I don't, not like paid my dues, but in a sense of like, okay, now we can really get into it.
Well, by the way, you have paid your dues. I mean, it's so
Thank you.
funny. It's very funny when people, we talked about this sort of before you logged on, about how, people refer to you as like an overnight sensation. And I'm like, as I recall, she's been at this for a minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you really
But
have
you know
paid
what?
your dues.
I find that flattering. It was my publicist because I remember, I think it was the beginning of award season last year, where it was like, maybe it was like a Palm Springs award, something, and it was like breakout award or something. And to be honest, at first I was like, oh, did I do something wrong? Are they still? And she made a really good point that I've kind of carried with me. She was like, honestly, I think it's one of the best compliments. She goes, because youth and age and newness is one of the hardest things to capture in this industry. And so for people to feel like they keep seeing you, if not for the first time, or you still feel very fresh to them, is great. It's way
It's
better
true.
than
You're
being like,
you're the ingenue. That's
mhm.
true.
Yeah, so that it's like it's a positive thing. And in regards to like breakthrough, you're continuing to make an impact with what you're doing that's standing out amongst, the rest, which is a huge compliment.
And so the next day, take me through the next day. I'm assuming you stay up all night partying. You go to the party, right?
Yeah.
And the next day you wake up, I'm going to say you wake up at 3 p.m.
No, early. I had 2 photo shoots that day.
No, you
No.
Yeah,
didn't.
I had 2 photo shoots.
Yeah, you should have come to our show. Why didn't you
I
come
know.
live on the show?
I know.
stage.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. You
no.
could have rolled out of Madonna's party right onto our set.
No, yeah, I had 2 photo shoots and interviews all that day. So I did not. I had to get up really early. I don't think I ever really went to sleep, to be
But could
honest.
you imagine, if you didn't win, which would have been improbable and impossible because you had won everything. But imagine not winning and then you have 2 photo shoots and 2 interviews.
Yeah, exactly.
The
And you're like,
difference
yikes.
that the tenor of those interviews take.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, what is your dream project? Give me your dream project.
I think, to be really honest, and I think it's because, to be completely transparent, it's a little bit different for women and it's a bit different for women of color. It's kind of
Of
like,
course.
it's more of a movement or a moment for myself. And it's that I really want to start doing things that people haven't seen someone like me do before. Does that make sense? But I want
Of
like,
course.
that's the thing when I think of the Oscar and what that meant for me, that I was like, oh, I now don't want to be told no, right? Of like certain things, whether that is action that they may not have seen, and like it not be a joke. You know what I mean? Of like, oh, the comedic relief, but that like, no, I'm really kicking butt in an action movie, or do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Whether it's due to like me being a woman of color, me being a curvy girl, whatever it is, that really was the thing that made me so excited that day, because I was like, I really hope that this hunk of metal will now allow for those things to come to pass, right? So like, yeah, there's things I'm like, oh yeah, that would be cool, that would be cool, but I really feel more driven, if anything, truthfully, of like, I want to change, I want to use my influence and accolades to change the course of the industry as we know it, and how someone that looks like me know the kind of opportunities that they usually get. That truthfully, more so than like specifically a role or a director or actors. Like I can, you know what I mean? Like I can give you the generic thing that everybody else says, like, oh, I would love to work with Meryl Streep and Bradley Cooper and da 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 da. But truthfully, it's more so of like, I want to shake things up a bit. And I hope that that moment will allow for me to do that.
I'm a woman in this industry. I'm not a woman of color, but I know I've been in this industry for 35 years and I've had to deal with my fair share of bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm assuming that you've had to deal with double the amount of bullshit.
Yeah.
And so my question is, would you get into writing and producing your own projects?
Yes. So during the pandemic, and I feel like you're this type of person too. I can't sit still. And
Right.
so, like, the pandemic, it was like, it divided us up in two types of people. It was either the people who were very focused and, like, you know what I mean,
Yep.
creating new avenues and trying new things as a way to keep themselves busy / lucrative and trying to figure it out. And then there was those that, like, you know, just kind of
Made
succumbed
bread.
to it. Yeah.
Yeah, there were the people that were
Yeah.
like, I made 35 loaves of sourdough today. And I'm like, you live in a house alone. What are you going to do with that?
Exactly. And so, like, for me, shockingly, because I know, and I think it's because I have trained classically, both in like music as well as acting, that I take education very seriously. So I will never call myself a writer unless I enrolled in a whole program, you know what I mean, and got formal training. But I started writing. It was like, I can't do the one thing I love to do. So this other thing presented itself, which I know if it wasn't something as bizarre and intense like a pandemic, that never would have happened. And I'm so
Right.
grateful for it. And so, yeah, I started writing. And funny enough, and it was so funny because I just had a meeting with my team yesterday. It's been that those things have started to become the most fruitful and passionate for myself. And so I am producing my own things, writing my own things, because also I think, and of course I know you know this, when you want to do things differently, sometimes you got to just show people and not just talk about it, you
That's
know?
right.
And so I started to realize, I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to have to write it and break it down to them and produce this thing so they get a better understanding of what it is that I'm looking for, as opposed to, you know, being like, oh, I wish there was, you know, a rom-com about this. Just do it. Just do it. So
Right.
that's been really rewarding and really exciting for me. And also, as you know, it's having a real seat at the table and ownership. Ownership is
Exactly. Having
everything.
ownership. Yep.
Yeah.
And do you find that it's still like, are there in Hollywood there is, and I have to say it's in New York too, but in Hollywood it's a whole different level. These insufferable studio heads where you are sort of mesmerized by how uncreative they are.
Yeah.
And you have to sort of play this game with them where you have to like concoct this to be their idea almost just to get it done.
Yes. So I will say, I haven't done that, meaning I don't do the concocting to make it think there's idea. I'm very much so, this is mine and this is what I'm
Right.
thinking of. Right. And so I think, but what I will say is, as an actor, I've definitely, you know, been strategic in regards of, like, you know, they say like one for them, one for me. And in their one for them, I've always tried to make sure that my gift and the quality that I bring, right, no matter how commercial it is still there. So that
Right.
even if I'm doing something a bit more broader, that there's still a specificity with it that makes it high quality. I would say one could say that that was Only Murders. That on paper, people could see it as, you know, the show being a very commercial thing. But every
Right.
single one of those actors brings such a level of specificity to it that it's like, oh, no, this is high quality work. You know what I mean? So I try
Yes.
to, even if I end up doing those kind of things, make sure that my gift still shines through so that it's not like, oh, I'm doing, you know what I mean, studio movie. Now I'm going to quote unquote dumb down my acting. No. I try to
You
maintain.
elevate everything else around you.
I try
Yeah.
so that.
No, I can tell you because you were on our Halloween show. And as you know, first of all, we couldn't believe, you know, we were like, wait, are you saying Da'Vine is actually she's agreed to do this? Yes. Okay, so we
course.
can't believe that. Second of all, we can't believe that we now have to perform in front of you because, as you can tell, we do things a bit differently.
Beautiful in
And
its own
so,
right.
what was so funny was how in character you were and how you understood the assignment and how you elevated. It was, Jan,
Yes.
it was an elevation of our Halloween show.
It was amazing. I had no idea.
I know, it was amazing,
It was
right?
amazing to watch.
And I wish you could have been there to see the reaction of our in-studio audience when we rolled that clip. You could tell it was like, it was a moment where they suddenly, you know, everybody's sort of like half paying attention, and all of a sudden the audience really paid attention. It was
I
amazing.
love that. That's so kind. Thank you. Yeah, I
Well, no,
think
thank
I think
you.
it's a key, you know, like as you do. It's like just bring your A game no matter whether, you know, it's what you may consider something less important or less higher status than you'd hope. It's like always bring your best to it because you just never know. You never know. And also, I just feel like everyone deserves to experience that. I never judge anything or belittle anything of like, oh, well, this isn't as big of a higher profile job, so I'm going to just phone it in. No, just do your best. Because I found a lot of times those jobs, because what makes it general is that it's more public, right? It's not that it
Yep.
intends to be lesser value. It's just, it has to be more broad to reach more people. And so I've ironically found that sometimes jobs and opportunities come more so from those things than, let's say, like the niche art house, you know, cool things that we may like to do. That
Right,
people
the
are like, oh,
critically acclaimed, never
exactly.
seen projects, right?
Yes. And so I think there's a balance then, right? You gotta, when you want to
Do all of it.
yes, I think so. If you can, try to do it all so that you
Yeah.
hit it from all angles, so that you're not just. Actually, Meryl Streep gave me that advice. That she was like early on in her career, she was lauded. I mean, she still is, but right, of this like consummate actor that just did these amazing, like
This
gut
heaviest, the
wrenching.
most serious.
Yes.
Yep.
And she was like, Mamma Mia was one of the best things I ever did. And I never had more fun on a set. And because I asked her, I was like, why are you doing Only Murders? And she's like, are you kidding me? Like, I love it. And I just want to have fun and play great characters. And I love to sing. And right now I'm just looking having a good time. And that really stuck with me that she was like, I love Mamma Mia. And I'm so glad that my team encouraged me of like, you know, let's not get stuck or pigeonholed in this one thing. We know you're this person. Let's show them you have all these other gifts. And I think that's then for anyone in any lane that they are in their career of like, diversify your profile if you can. Try it and go for it and learn other ways so that I never want anyone to like be able to put a nose on me. Does that make sense?
Right.
Like, put
Yep.
like, whether that's pigeonholing or like can predict like, oh, okay. Like if I don't want people to be like, oh, this is a Da'Vine Joy Randolph movie. Oh, okay, yeah. I know what this is going to be.
This is going to be this, right?
Never want that. And because I want to take people on a ride and have fun. And also we're playing different characters. So why would I be the same version of myself in every single thing I do? I'm not the same person.
Tell me about the advice Al Pacino gave you. Tell me about the advice Al Pacino gave you.
So it was really interesting because it was a very hard time. Just because I will say this, I have the utmost respect for theater artists. It is by far one of the hardest things I have ever done in my life because the hours and the amount of energy that you give to one performance a night does not even come close to a 16-hour workday on set. I don't know why, but there's something about it. And then I always get to play these like full, lively characters. And so with Ghost, you know, I remember, it's really funny actually. There was one, it happened twice, both because I started it on the West End and then I did it on Broadway. And I remember it was like a Wednesday matinee, you know, and it's like predominantly people that came on a bus from like Wisconsin or like older people. And so it's Ghost. And so, you know, she has to say the Molly, you're in danger line. And I didn't know this, but I guess everybody's waiting for that line to come. I remember
Oh,
I was like,
that is the line. That is the
That's the
that is
line.
the preeminent line.
yes.
Yes.
So I remember it was like a long week. I think it was the winter time. I'm tired, but I'm still doing my best. And I remember I was like, Molly, you're in danger, girl. I literally got booed. Literally.
No.
And then
No.
I remember after the end of Act One, the stage manager was like, "What happened? Why did you just deliver it like that? They hated it." And I was like, "Why was I booed?" And they were like, "Because you didn't give it the same kind of energy and pep like you normally do." And it was a really valuable lesson to me that I was like, "Whoa, people are really expecting you to give a fortified, you know what I mean, performance." And so
110% every single time.
yeah, so that show really drained me. And so at the time, like, I was constantly losing my voice. And I don't remember if the Tony nomination had happened already or not. I'm not quite sure. But it was interesting because I just remember feeling really drained. Like, and it was
Yeah.
hard because I was like, I don't want to feel that about the thing that I love. And so in between shows and a matinee, I went to like this little, I think it's like 47th and 6th. There's like a theater over there. But it's this little unknown it's beautiful though, like French bistro style restaurant.
Is it Le Bon Soup?
I think so, but it's like hidden, right? Like it's
Yes.
unassuming. And then
Yes,
you go in and you're
unassuming.
like, oh my God, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I know that. I know that place.
And so I
Yep.
was just walking. It wasn't a recommendation or anything. I saw it. I went in for lunch in between and it was empty and it was just him there. And I was like, oh my God, this is insane. I think he was doing Merchant of Venice on Broadway at that time. Because I think it started at the
Unbelievable.
Public and then he was doing it on Broadway. And like, I just was like, act cool, don't say anything, relax, chill
Right,
out.
right.
But like I kept like looking over and then every once in a while our eyes would connect and I felt like I was going to throw up. And so then he was on his way leaving and we just had this chat and I was like, I cannot believe this is real life. And so he just was like, are you an actor? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm on Broadway doing this musical. And he was like, oh yeah, I think it was Merchant of Venice. And I was like, I know, duh, you're
Right.
Al Pacino. And yeah, he just was like, well, how are things going? And I told him, I was like, this is hard. And I said, and my life is consumed in this. I was like, I don't get to spend time really with my friends, especially musicals is a whole other thing.
Oh,
versus
you have no life.
You have no life.
No,
You're
have
not
no life.
talking.
Right.
You're constantly, I to this day, I can't drink throat coat because I get PTSD and I start gagging. So it's like your whole
right.
life
Yep.
is catered to like almost like
Preserving
an
your
opera singer.
voice.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I remember when Kristen Chenoweth starred in Wicked when that was in rehearsals. A friend of mine was dating Kristen at the time.
Yeah.
We worked on the soap opera All My Children together.
Sure,
And
yeah.
I was doing the talk show and I was doing the soap.
Wow.
And he's like, I really want to introduce you to Kristen, but she's she's getting ready to open
Yes.
in Wicked, and she doesn't speak unless she's on the stage. And I was like,
No,
she doesn't
crazy.
speak,
Yeah.
and he's like, right. And now, and of course, Mark has, since that time, Mark has gone on to do many plays.
Yeah.
And Albert's boyfriend, Kyle, has been in Phantom of the Opera. And so now I am
he has no
fully
life.
aware
He's in Phantom,
of the
he has no life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The silence
Yeah.
of the theater performer. Like, I get it now. Now I'm like, oh, of course they don't speak. You don't even have
Yeah.
to. Even when we have performers come on our show on a Monday to promote their show, I'm like, you shouldn't be here. You should be resting your voice.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be doing
but
a talk
that's
show.
when, because it's the day off, they want to cram in all the pressing because you don't really have
Right.
any other time. So yes, and also it's like, who wants to be around somebody that's like that, right? So it was very
Right.
lonely, and I was like, I don't
But
know about this.
What did Al Pacino say to you?
So
like,
he
what
basically was like, this is the mark of the life of an artist. And he was like, I can tell you're special. And I was like, you don't know I'm special. You haven't seen the show. You don't know what I can do. And he was like, no, because of your dedication to the craft. And then he gave this analogy and he was like, he was like, when you fly private? And I was like, no, I definitely
No.
drive the Amtrak train
Right.
and Greyhound
I know about
bus
Amtrak.
to
Right.
and fro Philadelphia. No, sir, I don't know about private planes. And he was like, but you know how with a private jet, like you can't really carry that much luggage and you can't really take that many people on it, but it's a really special thing as you continue to ascend and become what people consider successful. And he was like, that's the life of an artist. And he was like, as you continue to climb up this ladder, everybody's not going to be able to come along for the ride. And you're going to have to lighten the load in order to go to the top. And he was like, but when you do get there, he was like, I'll be there and other people will be there that understand what that is. And you'll build a community from that. It'll be a small community, but you'll build a community for that. So it was like, I was like, what? It was so over my head. And then like, that was 2014. So like 4 years later,
Wow.
I was doing Dolomite. It was a Netflix project. They had The Irishman. Netflix had just created their it's called like Q or something. And they just created their own magazine. It was going to be their first cover. And my publicist was like, so you're going to be on the cover of this magazine and it's going to be you and a couple other people. And we're going to all be promoting your prospective movies. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I get there and we're like, doing final touch-ups. And I forget, it was this infamous photographer. So it already started with like, oh my God, we get lucky enough to be shot by this guy. And they put a ladder on the set and then you could tell they were like, trying to figure out what the tableau was going to be.
Who's going to stand where.
Yes. Right. And so we're doing final things. And so people start coming in and I'm like, whoa, that's De Niro. That's crazy. That's Scarlett Johansson. And then Al Pacino comes in and I'm like, crazy. Okay. And so they're getting us all together. And I was the last person that they put in place. And if you look at the picture, Al Pacino is standing next to the ladder. And they told me to get on the ladder. And they were at halfway while we were shooting. He was looking up at me at the ladder and I'm on the ladder. And I just got deeply emotional. I don't know if he remembers this, but it was a full circle moment that this man is talking about as you're climbing up a ladder. And now I'm doing a photo shoot and I'm on a ladder. Like it hit me
That
deep.
all means something, though.
Yeah.
That all
it was too
means
kismet.
something.
Yeah. And I was kind of like,
wild.
Okay. Because I don't know how it is for you, but maybe you're right. It is very different from New York to LA, but still it's like, right? Like whether it's like family, friends, or people you grew up with, or like when you're in this industry and like the schedule and the demands of the job, certain other people in your life, it's like, that doesn't gel for them anymore. It doesn't, you know what I mean? And so there's that transition. And now I get it why a lot of people like marry or date people in the industry because it's like, it's a lot of demands.
Yeah, also it's very hard to meet other people.
Yeah, what time? Exactly.
When you spend your life on a set 18 hours a day, who are you going to meet? I mean, honestly, who are you meeting?
Yeah.
At one point when you're on the ladder and Al Pacino is down there looking up at you, did you want to break into the Michelle Pfeiffer solo in Grease 2 where she's the cool rider? And did you was there a moment where you wanted to sing that?
No, that's so crazy. That wasn't
that would have been amazing though if you had done that.
That was a missed opportunity for sure.
Missed opportunity. Next time. Next time. Just think about it.
Ladder, I'm gonna just do
Put it in your back pocket and just sing Cool Rider as Michelle Pfeiffer from Grease 2. So, I'm curious because you and I grew up I grew up in South Jersey, which is, it's basically Philadelphia. We looked at Philadelphia in our backyards. So what were your touchstones and TV shows that you watched growing up?
Okay, I wonder if you guys got it in Jersey. This is so random. And it wasn't a touchstone, but do you remember when it was like, it came on Saturday mornings and it was this guy that was like on a harbor and he had like a sea captain's hat on.
It was, Captain Kangaroo?
Was it? And like you could call in, there'd be kids on there.
Yes,
but
Captain
it was like
Kangaroo.
Local-ish. And I always remember
Captain
being
Kangaroo.
like, oh my God, I hope this man picks me. And he'll be like, it's Da'Vine's birthday today. And it only came on Saturday mornings. I was obsessed. I wanted to be on that so bad. But was it a local thing? Like
It was local. It was just their local affiliate. I think it was either ABC or CBS.
Yeah. And it was Saturday mornings. And I remember I felt like that man was talking directly to me. I used to love that show. But I mean, Sesame Street, obviously, when I was younger. I
Yep.
do remember, like, there was kind of this surge of, like, performing arts schools growing up,
Yep.
like shows about performing arts schools. And I remember being like, oh, that's really cool. The idea to go to school and, like, learn about the thing that you want. And so it was like, yes, there was Fame. There was this like Nickelodeon show, I think called like Taina, and she went to the performing arts. And I remember there was a lot of shows growing up, or even like in Sesame Street being like, I just came from music school. That I remember growing up, I was like, oh, I really, really want to go to a performing arts school.
Do you know Holly Robinson Pete?
Yes, I know of her.
Okay.
Yes, I don't know her like.
So I know her well, and I love her, and you guys should know each other. But her dad was the original Gordon on Sesame Street,
it's insane.
which it's the craziest. Like when she says things to me, I'm like, "You shut your mouth."
I know, it's insane. Sesame Street was my life.
My life too, and my parents
life.
once a year they'd take us to the Philadelphia Zoo or something.
Yeah.
You know, there'd be some trip. And my dad would always point to Liberty One.
Yeah.
So my dad would point to it and he'd be like, that's where the kids on Sesame Street live. I don't know where he got this.
No,
but he was like, he would tell us that. And we were like, oh my God, that's where Sesame Street is.
No, but that's really funny you say that. I really believe Sesame Street was us. It was,
yes.
But you know why I think so too? Because of Sesame Place. Remember?
Of course. I remember when it opened, I think I was in 6th grade or something, and I was like way too old to be there, but I insisted on going and accompanying my sister as like her chaperone.
Yeah.
But all I wanted to do was jump in that ball pit. I wanted to buy Sesame Street. Like I just wanted
absolutely.
to me, it was like, this is the premier luxury.
Yes. So in my mind as a kid, especially after going there, I was like, oh no, they're talking about us. This is Philadelphia.
Right.
Sesame Place or Street it's somewhere here in Philadelphia. Yep.
Right.
I was
well,
obsessed.
my dad had told us, he's like, that's where Sesame Street is. And I was like, oh my God. And I was like, God, it looks so different on TV. But like in my child brain, that was the house where Sesame Street.
Maybe we should get her on Sesame Street.
Have you done Sesame Street?
You're going to make me cry now.
No, we've done that. We've done that before.
No, I will actually cry.
No, Jan has a connect. Jan has a connect.
You come on our Oscar show the morning after.
Yes, Jan. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I'll get you on Sesame Street.
Jan is making a deal right now. If you come on our live Oscar show, which I don't recommend, it's at 6 in the morning, 6 a.m. on the Oscar stage, the day after the Oscars.
I'm getting you on Sesame Street.
She will get you on Sesame Street, which, by the way, just call your agent. They'll get you on Sesame Street in 3 seconds.
No, only Jan can make
Only Jan.
You guys make dreams.
Your agents, Kelly and Jan.
Yes, we're your new we're your agents now, Da'Vine.
Thank you.
So it's so funny. Because you talked, I think it was on our talk show about being potentially like you would do an action movie in a second.
Yeah.
But Jan tells me you were in a real life situation with a man who had a gun.
Oh, yeah.
Jan tells me you were in a real life situation with a man who had a gun at the mall.
I haven't been there since, and it sucks because I really love dim sum a lot.
Where was it?
What do they call it? Din Tai Fung?
Where was this?
L.A.
Like,
So,
LA. Okay, got it.
So they have a couple of locations. So there's one in Century City Mall, the Westfield in Century City. And then there's one in Glendale Galleria. I think it's called like Americana Mall or American Mall, something like that. And so I knew it was a sign because at the time I was vegan and my friend was like, oh, let's get dim sum. And I was like, yeah, but a lot of that is like meat. Like I can't eat most of that stuff. She's like, oh, it's fine. It's really, really good. And I shouldn't have ate the meat. And that,
Right.
I feel like, was the beginning of a bad omen. And
It was like
so,
a curse.
yeah, like you messed up. You're breaking your rules. You're not sticking to what you know is good for you. And so, so you know how like, okay, like, so you know how like King of Prussia, right? There's like the
Yeah.
mall. And
Yep,
then you know
got
how
it.
like on the outskirts of these big malls, there's like like there's restaurants outside.
Yeah, of course.
That's
There's
like,
always like places around. Like
yeah,
there's
like Cheesecake Factory, but like kind of connected to the mall. Like if you took a tunnel or whatever. So
Yep.
I guess there was a jewelry store like a block or two away
like a
that,
Zale. Like
yes,
Zales.
exactly. That was
Right.
like the off-site outside, like 2 blocks away from it. And so I guess they decided they were going to rob it and have a smash and grab. But I guess what they didn't know was that their security that they hired was private security. I found out a lot this day. Private security can carry guns. I didn't know that. And so the security guard was ready, to go ablaze. And so they run out of the jewelry store and they're running through the streets and they decide to come into my restaurant of all the places. And so I remember that the restaurant where I was seated, my friend was facing so she could see the door, like the front entrance.
So she can see the gunmen entering.
Yes. So we're chatting, blah, 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 and I remember that I heard like it's sounding like tables all of a sudden starting to move. Like, you know how in school when they're like, okay, move your tables to this side of the wall. So you're like, and I remember like being like, okay, there's movement. And then I'm hearing people like making noise, but it's nothing that I'm making out of like, they're screaming. They're in danger.
Like they're not going, he's got a gun.
No,
It's not like in the
there's
TV
none of
series.
that.
Right.
But there's like murmur, murmur, gurgle, gurgle. Voices are starting to get loud. So for whatever reason, my brain went, oh, it's about to be a mob flash because I'm thinking they're moving, right? We're moving tables out the way because they're about to go do a whole musical number. And people are like, you know what I mean? We're get 5, 6, 7, 8. They're getting into places. And so but then I'm looking at my friend and her eyes are getting really big. So I turn around and when I turn back, she's gone. So I'm like, wait,
she has left the building.
She's left the building. And since then, I've chosen to forgive her because I understand that there's, it's fight or flight. And she's a fleer. And now I know that.
She flew.
I'm a fighter. And now I know that about myself. And so people are actually pushing people out the way to leave. And so I remember there was like you know how like a lot of times when you like go in the little hallway for the bathroom, that's also a place where you can exit. There's like an exit sign.
Yes.
So I saw that a lot of people were going there and that line was starting to get backed up and people were pushing and stuff like that. So I thought to myself, you're not going to make it out of here. So you're going to have to fight because you're not going to, there's a line of people. Everyone's running. You know what I mean? It's too congested. You're going to have to hide and fight. And so my brain was like, they serve sushi here. They've got good knives. I've never fought in my life. I don't know why my brain, but it was so slow that I distinctly remember my thought process. And so I go on the barn doors and I'm seeing like waiters and stuff like crying and hiding in the corner. I see the knives. I grab the knives. I wolverine it in between my knuckles.
Yep.
And I'm just standing there like mama bear breathing like through it.
Yeah, I am on this. I am like visualizing every second of this. I just want you to know I am there with you.
Wildest thing. And so then the waitresses like go behind me and now I guess I'm protecting them. And so I'm just like, my whole body is like tremoring on the inside and I'm just deep gutturally breathing, like basically mentally preparing myself like game on. We're going to fight. I don't know
who's and at this point, are you saying to yourself, this is why I went to Yale?
No, I really thought like you could die today. So
Right. Wow.
fight as
Wow.
hard as you can.
Yeah.
I didn't know they had a gun. But at this point, like I'm assuming, right? Like I didn't hear, there was no gunshots fired.
Yeah, no shots fired. Right.
Right, but it's like eerily quiet. It's crazy because I could see, you know how like, remember how Spielberg was like, the way Jaws was so amazing is that you never saw it, but you
Never
heard
saw the
things and you, like,
shark.
filled in
Yeah.
the blanks.
Mhm.
This is why I
Yeah.
can't watch scary movies because I will out scary movie any scary movie that ever has been written.
Right.
My imagination is insane. And so so it's quiet, but I'm hearing like, then it's like, it feels like somebody's running and in my mind, I was like, okay, they are prowling around, turning over tables. They find someone and then it's like a man like running, like running and screaming.
Right.
Then,
and you're
this
just
one
waiting for them to open the barn doors.
Yes, I'm just waiting.
And you're going to
I'm
come
like,
at them with the Wolverine
right.
hands.
And I'm hearing it all. And so then I'm hearing, which killed me. This lady starts screaming. And she's like, no, not my baby. And I was like, Jesus, I can't take this. This is
There's
a lie.
baby?
Oh my
There's
God.
a baby. And
There's
she's
a baby.
screaming and pleading. No. And you know, a mother's cry, pleading for their child. It is
God,
one of
yes.
the
Oh, my
worst
God.
sounds you could ever imagine. So now I'm really like, adrenaline is going.
And you're conflicted. Like, do I open the barn door myself and come at
I'm not.
them?
I'm
or-
not.
yeah,
That I was not
right.
conflicted about. I'm not getting out that
Right.
barn your door. I'm
Right.
not. I got the knives. You come
It's
to
not your
me.
baby. It's her baby. And
Yes,
that's
right.
her journey.
My
She's on
job
her journey.
is stab, slice, and dice. That's it. I'm not
Right,
coming
okay.
to save anybody. And I'm
Right.
hoping you don't even know I'm back here. But if you do, you're going to get a surprise. And so I'm ready. This lady then comes in and I'm like, and she's like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, shut up and go on the other side of the barn door. It's too crowded over here. I got you. And so, but you know, she's freaking out. So she's like, you know, in the horror movies, they're the ones like talking too much. And they're like, I don't know
They're
what to
always the
do.
one that they kid everyone else killed. Right.
Yeah. And I was like, not today. Shut up and go on that
Right.
side. So then she's quiet. So then this man comes. So I'm ready because I'm like, this is him. But this man comes and he's like, hey, I'm Marines. I said, we're good. This is it. Me and the Marines,
God.
I'm saved.
Marines. Yeah.
He said, I'm
Yeah.
retired Marines or something. All I heard was Marines. And I was like,
Right. The word
okay.
Marines is the prominent
you.
word.
Yeah.
Right.
And so then I was like, do you want some of my knives? And he was like, no, you hold on to that. And he was like, I'm good.
Right.
And I was like, okay, we got it. So then I'm feeling cocky and confident because it's me and Marines. And
Right.
so we were there for maybe like 40 minutes because
Wow.
we're only listening, right? To hear like, had they left. But he was in the restaurant too. I don't know what he was doing that he got in like 4 or 5 minutes later, but so we waited because he said, we're not leaving out of here until I really think that they're gone. And
Like,
so
at
then
any point did the police come?
no. And so, because I think what happened is they were essentially running. I don't know why you would run through a mall. If you just left Zales, why are you running
Right.
through a mall? That makes no sense to me. Why not run, you know what I mean, through the parking lot or away
yeah,
from
it doesn't
the site?
make any sense. But criminals don't make sense. I mean, there's
Yeah.
that show, Dumb Criminals, is a show for a reason.
Yeah, and so we were there for at least, I might be exaggerating, but it's probably 20 minutes.
And so did they ever catch the guys?
Yeah, later, but it was crazy. So then I felt actually more scared was when he was like, come on, they're gone. And I was like, no, because I feel safe here. And he's like, no, we need to get out of here because we don't know. You know what I mean? If they're on like a shooting
You don't know
spree.
anything. You have no idea.
So he's like, come on. And I was like, I valeted. So what are we going to do? And so we're walking to the parking garage. He was like, I want to escort you to your car. And I said, but I valeted. And he was like, okay. And so what was scary was the mall was empty. Completely
kidding.
empty. So now you feel like you're on manhunt, right? Because we're walking around. He did tell me to put down the knife. So I didn't walk out of the restaurant with the knife still in my hand. So now I'm
Can you
vulnerable.
imagine? Can you
I have
imagine
no
if
weapon.
the police run and tackle you because you're standing there with knives?
I know. And I just thought I was protecting myself. And so he was like, put them down. So now I feel vulnerable. I mean, he is Marines, but now we're in a parking garage. Now this is another thing. I can't stand watching movies where they have to go into the parking garage. It's never good when you go into the parking garage. So
Never.
I'm losing it. Like, my God, they hid underneath a car. And because he was trying to get his wife into their car. It was insane. The moment I said, sir, I gotta go. I just gotta go. And that man literally told me, run. Like it was an actual action movie. And he just was like, run. And I'm like, run where? And he said, run blocks away and then call an Uber and then get them to take you home. You'll just have to get your car another time. So I just start sprinting in a completely different direction for like 10 blocks where I'm like, okay, Da'Vine, I think you're safe at this point. I call my dad and I'm like, Dad, this is what happened. I then, let's also keep in mind, my friend left her wallet, her umbrella, because it was raining.
Oh my God.
So I'm carrying her wallet, her umbrella, and my things. And I call an Uber. And I was like, but meet me over here, whatever. But I didn't want to tell him that there was like activity going on because I didn't want him to be like, I'm not going to come and pick you up. Mm-hmm. So I was like, meet me at, I think it was like a nearby hotel or something. I was like, meet me here. He meets me at the other hotel. Then my friend who fled calls me and is like, hey, where are you? And I was like, meet me at this spot right now. She gets in the car and we're just quiet. I don't say anything to her because I'm pissed. And
I don't blame you. My God.
we get in the car, we drop her off, we then drop me off, and then the next day,
where was she hiding? Where was
she
where was
went
she hiding the
to
whole
a
time?
nearby restaurant because I guess she followed a group of people, and that's dangerous. But she did. Mm-hmm. So like those people that were running through that small alley,
she followed the herd.
Yes, she followed the herd. They went to a nearby like ramen spot. And she told me that the restaurant owners put them in the basement. Now, that's crazy. Why would you put them in the basement like they're like refugees? Why wouldn't you just...
That is shady as it gets. I'd be like, our lives are really over.
I thought that was so odd that I was like, if you went to a restaurant and escaped, I don't know. But then maybe they thought like, oh, they're shooters and there's a shooting spree, but not the whole restaurant. I said, so did everybody get in the basement? She's like, no, just us. I thought that was very odd.
Da'Vine, I think that you and Jordan Peele need to write this movie.
Oh, my God.
It's intense. Oh, my God. It's so
I'm telling you, you need to write this movie because, and then when you go into the basement, that's when the real shit goes down. I don't know what goes down. That's for you guys to figure out. But when everybody thinks they're safe by hiding in the basement, that's when you figure out that it's the owners of the ramen shop that
wild.
Are really
who
up
did
to
it
no
all
good.
along. Yeah.
I love that the mall has a sushi restaurant and a ramen shop.
Like, isn't it odd? Yeah.
These are the riches of California.
Oh
we get like if we want ramen, we got to go downtown. If we want sushi, we've got to go to the Upper East Side.
My malls had Wendy's and like there was no.
This is California.
Yeah, it's wild.
Da'Vine, this has been divine talking to you. Seriously.
You.
I just loved every second of it. Will you come back on our podcast and our talk show frequently and often?
I would
Thank
love
you so
to.
much.
You're the best.
Yes.
We'll see you backstage at the Oscars when you present.
Yes, Jan.
Right.
We'll see you backstage. Oh, yeah. Yes. You're presenting. That's
Am
right.
I?
You
I
are
hope
presenting.
so.
Backstage and say hi to us.
You will. You're presenting. You won. So the winner presents the following year. So you'll be presenting.
That's exciting.
So make sure you come backstage and talk to us.
No, I promise. Absolutely.
Okay, honey. Thanks so much.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Yeah, bye, honey. What'd you think of that?
Wow.
Don't you think that Da'Vine needs to get Jordan Peele on board and they need to make that into, call it mall heist, call it whatever, call it, no, he always has like a one word, it's like, right. So call it like, this way. Right? Right?
Oh my God, the image of her having the knives between her knuckles is so crazy.
And heavy breathing and people hiding behind her.
Oh my God, she has to write it.
That was frightening.
But I'm that way, and I think you're that way too. Everything slows down in a crisis. Everything becomes hyper slow.
It's funny. I don't think I would be able to run. I think I would have to be in the moment.
have to be in the middle.
Oh, the two of you. I'd be standing behind the both of you.
You'd be eating in the kitchen.
I'd be eating in the kitchen. You'd be there with the knives. But 45 minutes, that's like in that moment to be in that situation for that's crazy.
I definitely would have at a certain point because my adrenaline would have spiked, then crashed, then my kidneys would have hurt, and then I'd get hungry. Like I would have gotten hungry at a certain point. I'd be like, is there an egg roll? Do you have a singular spring roll that I can just nosh on?
Spring roll.
I'm exhausted. My hands hurt.
I love that her head went to this place serves sushi, so they must have great knives. It's the best thought. We're right to it.
Great. I'm glad that she's finally getting all the. She's choosing.
She
the roles.
deserves
She
it.
deserves
Yes.
that. That's amazing. You know,
She deserves it.
really cool.
Yeah. Well, that's it. That's all we got. Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to give it a 5-star review because Jan gets very excited. She may even show your post on our social media platform. Because apparently we have a social media platform.
do.
I noticed that I must follow it, or you must have followed it for me, because I would never follow myself by myself. But
It's a good social media account.
it is a good account.
Jan's all over them. Jan's got a lot. They're pumping it out.
People are sending us pictures of them in the t-shirts. So buy the t-shirt.
We should make some socks or
Cue
something.
yourself.
A
You can
hat.
make a hat.
Cue yourself
You can
hat.
make a hat.
A
do
cue
it.
yourself hat.
I did like when Roz did the cue yourself in the seductive voice. And
Yeah,
when-
she did it. She was like, cue yourself. She really wanted to take over, Jan.
She did.
Roz was like, I want you to cue yourself. Cue
You want me out of this job,
Cue
right, Roz?
yourself.
Roz, you want me out. It's okay. My voice is not as sexy, I heard.
No, but nobody has a voice as sexy as Roz's. It's so nutty.
Oh, please.
It's like,
Between my laugh, it's like all they want is Roz at this point.
please, between my laugh, your laugh, Jan's voice, Roz is all they've got.
That's it.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Talk to you next week. Let's Talk Off Camera with Kelly Ripa is a production of Melojo Productions with help from Goat Rodeo. Our theme song is Follow Me from APM Music. From Melojo, our team is Kelly Ripa, Mark Consuelos, Albert Bianchini, Jan Chalet, Devin Schneider, Michael Halpern, Jacob Small, Roz Therian, Seth Gronquist, and Julia Desch. From Goat Rodeo, our team is Kara Schillen, Megan Nadolski, Max Johnston, Isabel Kirby McGowan, and Rebecca Seidel. Additional sound design by Terrence Bernardo. This show is powered by Stitcher.